Well, here we are in the great state of Georgia in search of Corpsewood Manor, take 2. Wandered around the first time, don't pay no attention to navigation out here, it don't work worth a hoot. Hey, but this is a sign. I found a Georgia quarter as soon as I got out of the car. Can't beat that. So we passed up where I believe the original road was pushed in. I think they called that Dead Horse Road, because I'd read a couple things that on past there was kind of a shortcut. It is not marked, but it looks like a pretty well worn trail, so I feel we're going in the right direction. Obviously we're on the path to something. Oh, Mama done found a rock. We've got a little bit of a dam crossed here. Went across this little ditch. So if we're not on the correct path going to Corpsewood, we're on a path going somewhere, maybe straight to hell, but we'll know in a minute. Well, we made it here. So a little bit on the backstory. I ain't going to go too deep in detail about it because there's people who can tell the story much better than I can. I recommend Dixie After Dark. He's one that finally triggered my interest. I had read about these murders way back when, but his recent post about it just drew me in, and I knew I was going to be in the area for business and just had to come and see it. So, story of a professor. I think he was living up in Chicago. He'd been married and divorced a couple times and had some kids, and they had moved in a male, I guess you'd call it a nanny or caretaker for the kids. But when the kids grew up and gone, the nanny stayed around. So Schroeder, the professor, Odom was the caretaker for the kids. Might as well just say it was his boyfriend. They got tired of living up there in the Chicago area, which I can't blame them for that. I'd get the heck out of Dodge. But they decided to move down here into the heart of Dixie in Georgia. Sold everything they owned, packed up, bought this piece of property. That was 1976. Bought a camper, a Jeep, and the only way in here was a logging trail. So they drug that camper up in here and commenced building their dream home. Another fact about them, that they were both card-carrying members of the Temple of Satan and followers of Anton LaVey. And I guess that's been verified and what have you through records, that they had made payments, their due payments, whatever you want to say. And old Anton had made a statement after their deaths. But they lived down here, and you talk about industrious. Now, they may not have been fine masons or nothing, but boy, they did a lot of work. And I can imagine packing all that brick up in here. Probably wouldn't have been too easy. But they built them a big old brick mansion down in here. Pretty fancy. Had a spiral staircase in it. Brick entryway. You can check out some other, pictures from the past to see what she looked like at one time. Oh, look, somebody got a little pentagram drawn right there. So this would be the remnants of the spiral staircase. Looked like poured risers. Looks like pivoted off a single anchor bolts there to hold it in place. That's kind of cool. A lot of broken glass. So it has some pretty fancy stained glass windows of old Beelzebub. Got a couple little corner towers here. Them are kind of neat. So back to the story. So they lived here till December of 1982. And they would allow locals to come in and hunt. And they were known for their homemade wine and party type atmosphere. So in 1982, a fellow by the name of Brock had been in here hunting. And he had come upon the notion that he thought these two old boys were rich. And he had been talking with a friend of his, and they decided they just needed that money. Way worse than them two old gay fellers did. And decided they'd just come in and take it. So they come in for a visit, and while they were partying and partaking in the homemade wine, things went south, and I guess they had picked up another couple too, a young girl and another guy, but they were not privy to the plans. So when things went down, they tried to leave, but their car wouldn't start. That makes you kind of wonder why their car wouldn't start, but that's another story. But they shot both them fellers, and they didn't realize that them fellas had spent every dime they had building this place. So they didn't get diddly squat. I think they got some little bit of jewelry and a gold-plated dagger and just some trinkets. They made a run for it. I think they made it all the way to Texas, but they had been holding that young girl kind of captive. Wasn't going to let her get away, but she got away and leaked the story, and the sheriff got hot on their trails. Wonder if that ain't an old cistern or something there. Yeah, I'd say that's a cistern. Yep, that may have been part of their water system. Had concrete top on it, what have you. Said they had 2 bull mastiff dogs, and them boys put the dogs down too. That's just sad. Dogs didn't have nothing to do with it. Put them down. But them old boys got caught, got put in jail. Like I said, you can follow up on the story, more to it. I'm more interested in just a couple of old fellers that was able to build something out here in the middle of nowhere with their bare hands. Pretty cool. I'm gonna wander around and see if I can find the remnants of the chicken coop. Well, there's remnants of quite a few outbuildings and what have you here, so I don't know which one would have been the infamous chicken coop. There's kind of a rock wall hand laid, just rough stones. A couple of concrete pillars here, so I would almost say that might be the foundation of the chicken house. So while they were partying in the chicken house, and I don't remember which one was which, but up in the house, finishing up, doing up the dishes and what have you from dinner, they slipped up there, shot the old boy, tied the second old boy up, tried to get him to talk about where everything was hid and what have you. Decided they wasn't getting the answers they wanted, so they put him down too. So both them old boys murdered right here on the spot. Didn't get away with nothing. There's a little hole in the ground there. They say the place is haunted. Of course, I'm out here in broad daylight, so I can be all brave, but it seems like any other ruin I've wandered upon or wandered around. Got some more foundations over here. This is relatively substantial with some brick. Yeah, this is something substantial. This is probably the remnant of the chicken house. Got some terracotta tiles in there. She's slowly returning to nature. Like I said, old Brock and West, they didn't turn out so good from them. They ended up getting caught, locked away in prison. Now, one of the kind of the haunting aspects of it was one of the old boys that got murdered had painted a portrait of himself with 5 bullet holes in it just recently before the murder. And that's how he was killed. 5 bullet holes to the cranium. Take that and think about it. Barbecue grill. Yep. Hope you all liked and enjoyed. Be sure and check out Dixie After Dark. He's got some really good stuff, and he's a heck of a lot better storyteller than I am. But if you found it interesting, like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Makes me smile. After day, I'm heading back to Missouri. Back to the old grind. So, y'all have a good one.